Welcome to another episode of Business Highlight. My name is Pedro, and if you're watching us right now on Facebook or YouTube, make sure to give us a like. And if you find this content useful, share it with your friends on your social networks on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything. We really appreciate that. And today I have the pleasure of having with me on the show Tonya Scholz. She is the president of the Association for Women in Communication of South Florida. Tonya, how are you?
Fantastic, Pedro. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And we've done stuff together in the past. And so just like, it makes sense to have you on the show talking business, talking about how, COVID is affecting our lives and what we can do to, get better through this process instead of being kind of like complacent with what we're doing. So before we even start, just, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Tonya Scholz. I am the president of the Association for Women in Communications, that's South Florida chapter. Our national chapter was founded in 1909. When you think about women empowerment during the history of America, you would think about women in communication because we champion women's empowerment. So bringing that on, I've been with Women in Communication South Florida since 2008. So everything I've learned of who I am today, which we'll talk a little bit more as far as technology and social media, I've learned through Women in Communication by dealing with a lot of things that women in communication had to deal with in the last, since 2008.
For sure. So for those that don't know, like for me, for example, before I met you, I had no idea what this was. What is the Association for Women in Communication? Like, what do they do and things like that?
Well, the South Florida chapter, we usually before COVID. I feel like we're so old and dating ourselves, right? Before COVID.
It's so BC before COVID and AC
know,
after
right?
COVID.
So before COVID, we usually meet at the Blue Boca Raton Resort. They're one of our main sponsor, and we've been doing this with them. I think about 4 years now. And where we honor a nonprofit, we help raise awareness. Since we are women in communication, a lot of our followers and members are either teachers, journalists, bloggers, artists, anyone that has a message to communicate.
Yeah.
So what we do is we bring all this together. And our chapter actually is the first chapter to say, hey, graphic designers are communicators, that they should be one of us. Because, when I became the president in 2008, most of our members were mostly journalists or writers, really, or publicists. So over time, as went on, when we said, hey, graphic artists should be a communication. But then about in 2009, I started talking about artists. The art scene down and especially in Miami, it's incredible. So we should talk about artists as communicators. They should be listed as a communicators also, because their art creates the brand. And a lot of brand, hire artists to create that for them. So that's how that's what I do for Women Communications. We bring, but then we have, like, we were doing it once a month, and then as schedule got crazy, we do it every quarter. Where you've been part of this also.
Right.
We do we call it like an open forum Q&A. We bring on a magazine, a radio station, an online newspaper like yourself. I mean, all different facets where we bring them together and we say, so if I was a brand, if I was a company, so we tell our members and followers this, how do we pitch to the newspaper? How do we pitch to the radio? How do we pitch to this? So because at the end of the day, you can have the best product, you can have the greatest thing, but if you don't know how to communicate and get it out there, no one's going to know. So that's what I do. I decide how we're going to create the brand, communicate, and then whatever I learn, I go out and try to educate my our followers and members.
Yeah. So the women in communication of South Florida, pretty much, they have a bunch of just like you mentioned, a lot of educational workshops, BC before COVID, and were there other types of things you would do in workshops other than just bringing in the media to talk to? Like, was there?
We did one. Yeah. We did all kinds. We did one on ebooks. Where we brought in ebook writers and talk about what ebooks are. And talk about the numbers of ebooks. Like how much. Like if you're a writer and you have content, you should come out with an ebook. I mean, that's just common sense. But a lot of people are afraid of that. So we talk about how to create your own ebooks, how to use Instagram for your brand. At the time, Instagram was getting ready to launch into more like you can start creating shopping cart. And then we did one about Pinterest when Pinterest first came out. So what we try to do is get information that's looks like it's hard for a lot of people, but make it simple. Bring in quality speakers who you can speak about something, but actually bring in speakers who actually did it, done stuff with it. So we try to create that conversation with our members, but also we want to empower them. Like I had a member who her and her two friends started a nonprofit. I like their story. They were about women's veterans. So we empower them. I help them. I give them information how to do a website, how to do different things. So that's what we do. We empower. We're like, it's like a sorority, but in a bigger scale.
A bigger scale. So let's talk a little bit about yourself. In 2006, you started a communication consulting agency called Known Aging, I believe.
Yeah, No Aging. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No Aging.
And then you began doing, and this is when I kind of met you, like in 2010. You did this like social chats, like video kind of thing show. So tell me a little bit about all that. Like, how did that come about, and how has that been going for you since?
Well, I've actually, what happened was, when I started my communication company, I fell in love with the life extension, and I became a life extensionist, and I wanted to live longer and wanted to understand, different aspects of it. So that was my communication company, and I worked with anti-aging doctors, anyone that has a product, service, or brand that they want to raise awareness to. Mm-hmm. So at the time, I had Life Extension Foundation as one of my clients, and also, I was doing all these events. I fell in love with women in communication in 2008, became the president. And then what happened was a friend of mine came up to me, and one of the social media people I met, and back then we had, what did they call it? Tweet up.
Yeah,
Twitter.
People, yeah.
Yeah, we don't even know each other by our first name. We only know each other by our handle, right? Yeah. So one of my friends, he said, "Hey, Tonya, I want to get back into radio, but I want to pitch this whole internet radio thing. I just need some sponsor. What do you think?" And I'm kind of like, okay. And then it's kind of funny because social chats originally came about. He talked to me about it, and I said, I have a client that wants to go into debt settlement. This is like in 2009, December 2009. I said, let me talk to him. Maybe we can create a whole show and he'll sponsor, and I'll get you in the door that way. Make a long story short, the guy didn't do it. I ended up researching it. Next thing I know, I'm like, you know what? I'll pay for the sponsorship. And so I came up with social chats, and we stream Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 on 1340 WPPR 1340 AM station. Right after my show, it became a Haitian show. It was really interesting. We had all kind of people. And, I did the show. To me, at that time, no one was streaming. No one even heard of internet radio. That was kind of weird. Yeah. I felt like it was, I knew I was on an AM station, and I had that, but we were streaming. We were doing some other stuff. I felt like it was like my own mental state of mind. I get to say whatever I feel like. Mm-hmm. Nothing bad or anything. Just be able to share my knowledge.
It's like therapeutic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, don't you think so? Doing this, don't you feel great?
Yeah, exactly. You just talk to more people. So you're still doing social chats.
Yes, actually, we celebrate 10 years this year. And, I actually took 2 years off, not streaming hardcore, because we were like, at one point, I was streaming from pretty much from 12 to 3 sometime, depending what show it is. Yeah, I had a show on elder care. I had a show on healthy lifestyle. It was really a cooking show. We did health. We did locals, where we feature a lot of local stuff. I've covered Work Miami. I mean, from the beginning. I've done all that. I actually, a lot of the shows have not made it up online. I mean, we streamed it. Mm-hmm. It was live, but I never had time. I was doing so many shows, and it was just myself and I, that I was just creating content for other people to use, but never really had a chance to. I mean, I uploaded some of the shows, but not a lot. I mean, I have some really good shows that I'm gonna dig out once I finish my gigantic website I'm working on. But social chat has grown now. We're not trying to be because everybody's a live streamer now. Everyone's doing everything they did before, so it's kind of like, what do I do now? Right. And the only thing I really am passionate about is magazines. I really, I can't afford to print a beautiful, cover magazine, but because of the internet, digital media, you can do anything on the internet these days. So I'm going to be producing a digital magazine based on stories. But once we set up all the subdomain streams that we're planning to launch at the same time, that's what I'm building right now. We're building the streams of each show. So each show is like for example, my health show. It's not going to be like social chats. Health is health.socialchats. So we made into a subdomain. So all my shows are subdomains, so that my co-host, whoever I do shows with, they will that's their responsibility too, instead of me trying to do it all.
Yeah. So guys, we're talking to Tonya here. If you guys are interested in reaching out to her, her email is tonya@socialchats.net. You can also find her on Twitter. Her handle is no aging. Am I correct? Yep. No aging. And if you want to check out more information on the Women Association of Women of Communication South Florida, it's just their website is awcsouthflorida.org. So Tonya, we're talking a little bit about off air. Now we're talking a little bit about on air. Yeah. About the pre-COVID and post-COVID world that we live in. And how has COVID-19 and like affected your company or your business or even your, the nonprofit you work with to, move things around now because of it?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Women Communication, we only had one event during this time. We're actually changing that. I'm going to be announcing some big things because we're redoing the whole website. I've learned so much, especially when it came to Google Maps and virtual event and hosting it on your website. So ironically, I'm going to be honest with you, before COVID, I kind of like heard about it through the grapevine. In December, January, I was kind of like hearing some crazy, because I'm friends with everybody in the world. They like literally tell me what's going on. I mean, even though we're not really doing in the old days, if you send me a DM or something, I'm talking about it on my show.
Right.
So I step back and reevaluate where I'm going, because you hear these crazy stories and you're kind of like, well, what happened if I got COVID? Whatever happened if I didn't get anything done? And one of the problems I have is I tend to start projects and never finish it. I finish it, but it takes forever. And because I rather work on other people's stuff instead of focusing on mine, I think. And I think we all have that problem. So before we were locked down, I was kind of like, I'm kind of stepping back. I need to focus on my brand, who I am, what Social Chats is. I'm not going to shut down Social Chats because I'm not streaming anymore, but I plan to go back to streaming. So instead of shutting everything down, I kind of like developed it. I took this time to learn and get myself educated, and I made a key for Google, and now I can build apps. And I mean, 11 years ago, I was building Facebook apps, and now 11 years later, I'm building Google apps. So nothing has changed for me. I got rid of my clients because I had to stuff. Because, this is how people have to understand. The more money you make, the more pain you're going to be in. Okay. If you live simple and just say, I really don't need all the other stuff. I just want to have simple.
In the words of that great philosopher, more money, more problems.
Yes, a lot of problems. So my weekends will consist of my clients and their social media campaign or their Facebook and their ads and all this stuff. I want to take charge of that because you know what? I don't know what tomorrow is going to be. I know today I'm going to get my project done. If I don't get my project done, but I know tomorrow I'm going to continue working on my own projects. So I'm not saying to tell people to go quit your job, but really find what you're passionate about because you'll love it and you figure out how to make money. That's my philosophy. And I hope that people that I'm around, that I'm friends with, I'm always pushing them to that. And a lot of people don't even realize that they can make money off of that. Not once have they thought about it.
Yeah. So, we're talking about, just social media and websites in general. What do you think is better, to focus a lot on the social media aspect of your business? Or do you think that, hey, let's focus on a website to make a really good type of site? What do you think is the best thing to do?
I think, in my opinion, and I just started talking about this a couple months ago, get off of social media, business people. I mean, really, which is great. We got our branding going on. We got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google. We have all that. YouTube. Yes, we have all that. But do you continue uploading beautiful content and hopefully they'll let your followers see it? Do you continue paying for them to see it? Or do you take charge of your brand and say, hey, I might not have a store like a brick and mortar because, as you know, I don't think Amazon had a shopping, like a brick and mortar store when they started out.
Right.
If Amazon can do it, why can't we? And so I'm telling my clients that, that I actually have some clients I talk to. I've been friends with them. I work on their stuff whenever I have a chance to, but I tell them, I said, you need to focus on building that experience, that how your clients will feel when they come to your website. Your goal is to get people to their website. And Paige, I'm glad we're talking about this because, when I started getting into industry, like I started my company in 2006, I thought I was going to do the old fashioned style, press release, call the media, get people on, and that was it, And that I thought I would be happy with it, but I wasn't. I discovered social media, I discovered Twitter, and all through women in communication, actually. Going to a women in communication luncheon in late 2007 was made a huge difference of where the direction I wanted to go. So now I tell people now, back then I was like, I was at FIU, Florida International University, teaching those students how to make a Facebook page, how to tweet, doing all this stuff 11 years ago. I'm like the biggest advocate in social media. And when people tell me, they're like, oh, you're the guru. I'm like, no, I hate that word. I'm not a guru. I'm really anti. I think ever since, I don't run ads. I only run ads for women communication as a donation. Meaning I donate. I don't make no money out of it. We all volunteer. So I donate into this. But Facebook would shut my ad account down because they felt I was inappropriate promoting women's stuff. So one day I was like, you know what? I need to really step back and focus and work on my website. And that was in December of last year. And then January. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to focus on building my website. And I went from building a basic website because my social chats was sitting there coming soon for like a year and a half because I decided to change server and I didn't have time to build my own site, but I was too busy building everyone else. I went ahead and started building my own site. And then I went from building my site to saying, hey, why can't I just host events on my website? Oh, hey, why can't I sell tickets to music DJs on my website?
Yeah.
Why not?
So what are some practical ways that someone can, make that switch from focusing only on their social and just going, hey, let me do some things on my web as well?
Well, the most important thing is if you don't have a website, get one. Get one your domain. I've discovered a lot of people, like I was on a Florida Music Writer Association podcast. And apparently, a lot of new artists, writers, anyone that's coming out, especially graduating from college, or still going to school. If you're in college right now, you should have a website. You should be selling something on there for real. But I feel like everyone should have their own domain. If you can't figure out what you're going to sell, hey, best thing to do is talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Get a domain in your name because just in case you never know, you might become famous and someone can come along. And I know somebody that makes a lot of money off of domain. I'm not going to mention names, but that's what he does. So I suggest that people should do that. And, I work with Elementor, a widget. This is a widget that is a plugin that you use. It's very inexpensive. It's worth it because it's so simple. And if you're like old school, like you're back in the MySpace day, if you're like that wonderful, you had that MySpace page that like all these stars and glitters will fall on the screen, you can build a website. So build your website. And, we have this thing called Google that you can research. And even if you don't have Google, there's tons of other search engine. And just Google the word that you think that you need to know about.
Yeah.
And talk you through. And then if not, find yourself someone that you can trust, get your website. But once this website's done and you build the brand that you want, set yourself a schedule. I'm not saying sit in front of your computer 10 hours and tell people, come visit me in my website, but make it at an event. Make it like, hey, come to my website. Or you can embed, like people nowadays, you can embed anything. You can embed YouTube, you can embed anything. So your goal in life is to get people back to your website. And
right.
You're right. One thing I always tell people about website and dating. Have you ever heard that analogy?
No, I didn't.
Don't tell me you never heard that analogy.
I haven't. I want you to tell me.
Okay. So when we all got into the internet world, before everyone was on Facebook, before everyone back in the day when you were on Twitter and all you do is just tweet out what you ate for the day.
Right. I remember those days.
Oh, I ate this for the day and I drank this much alcohol for the day or whatever. So I came across this one picture and I was thinking, wow, if you really think about the internet, you think about dating. And then people are like, what do you mean? Like, think about it. If you really want to go find the right person to date, you go on Twitter. You just go based on the hashtag, right? You follow this person because he had my hashtag. I need to find out what this person is about.
Right.
You follow them. You see him tweet. As long as he's not drunk tweeting, he's not doing crazy stuff. Yeah, I like to know what more about him. So you go out to have coffee, right? Back then we didn't have Instagram, so we had to go to. I compared that coffee and dinner. I compared that to Facebook. You go to Facebook, you kind of find out what's going on with them. You're like, oh, I like them, and they're selling something. I trust them now, so I think I'm gonna go check out where I can get it. And if that person's smart, that whatever they're selling on Facebook, it should take them back to their website. I mean, that's why we're on social media. Businesses. Our goal is not to go to the website, go to social, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Well, our goal is not to stay there all day and all night. Our goal is to go there, find the people, and bring them back to the website. So when I see something that I've been following, I went to Twitter, I met them on Twitter, I followed them on Facebook, and then I like what they're saying. I want to know more about that product. I go to their blog, and then if I really enjoy what they're reading, I subscribe to their feed. So that's what I tell a lot of people. Our goal is not to spend 24 hours a day on Facebook arguing with stuff. And if you really want to empower yourself, you schedule yourself, even if it's 4 hours working on your website. Even if you have a job and you say, I only have time to work 2 hours, but I'm going to be on my website this time. And if you're understanding the embedding, or if you have someone that can help you, you can embed your YouTube, you can embed your business page, whatever it is. The goal is to get people to your website.
So we're learning about business here. We learn about dating apparently from Tonya. We learn a little bit of everything.
Well, you have to compare that so people can understand it. When you talk about you compare dating to anything, people are like, yeah, that makes sense.
They get it. Yeah, that's so true. Tonya, before I let you go, again, I'm talking to Tonya Scholz from Social Chats and the South Florida Women's chapter of the Association of Women in Communication. If you want to reach out to her, her email is tonya@socialchats.net. Her website is socialchats.co.
Or you can go to socialchats.net if you want to.
That's not net.
I actually started. Everything I do is always an accident. So don't ask.
And then if you want to get to know her, kind of like she was saying, her Twitter account is no aging. So KNOWAGING.
Find
her that way as well.
And Twitter kind of like Twitter's to this. They're just suspending everyone's account to prove to them who you are.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. and I have like so many of my other clients, and they're all calling me, freaking out, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, I'll get you unsuspended. But it's really just telling them, yo, I am not doing anything bad. You're suspending me for the wrong reason. So but it's my Twitter account works now. So
good. So Tonya, before I let you go, I ask this question to everyone that comes on the show. Every week I get a different response, and every week it's a good one. So no pressure. But if you were to give an advice to someone that just graduated college, or someone that's just graduated high school that isn't really sure what they're going to do yet, especially throughout this whole COVID thing going on, that they don't know like what the job market looks like, or if what they graduated in is actually what they want to do at this point, what would be your advice to this person?
Sell something online. Open the store. It's easy. There's two things you can go with. Shopify. That's really easy. $30. I think it's $30 a month. I'm not quite sure, but you can look up on that. Square.com, which is part of Weebly now, is so easy. Build your own store. Sell something while you're figuring out what you want. Just first find something that you love. And if you love it, then it's like, for example, I always make this comment to a lot of people. People are like, well, how am I going to make money? There's all these platforms where you can sign up and have an account and plug in your social network and just sell your image.
Yeah.
So they can get a t-shirt, a dress, and get something printed onto it. So if you love being on social media and you want to be that influencer, fine, sell something. And if you're not into social media and you don't want to do anything, but you like to write, start a blog. You can do an ebook. You can sell that online too.
That's true.
Like you can do. We're living in the 21st century. You can do anything, and you can learn anything. So the only way you can't do something is because you say you can't.
Yeah. Good. That's some good advice, Tonya. Thank you so much for coming on and
pleasure.
talking to us. Again, if you guys want to get a hold of her email is tonya@socialchats.net. If you want to just reach out to her, find out more about what she does, or just find out more about the Association of Women in Communications, anything like that. You can also check out the association's website at awcsouthflorida.org. There you go. It's a mouthful, but
yeah, we're gonna have the Women in Communication website will be redone. Our goal is to teach our members how to host their own educational classes on their website. Yeah. So that's the other thing that we're planning to do.
Yeah. So follow them on social media, and then go to their website to find out more information on how to see that that happen. That's a really cool one. I'm excited for that one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Yep, definitely. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up another episode of Business Highlight. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, go ahead and do that now. If you found this interesting and helpful in any way, share it with people on your social media accounts. But again, my name is Pedro, and thank you for joining us for one more episode. And we'll be back next week.